Hi, I'm Katie Bray, and I wanted to do a follow-up video from my last video, the spiritual reason behind COVID-19. I got a lot of interesting feedback and some questions, and I will address those at a later time. But the one thing that really stuck out were the people who wanted to hear a little bit more about the sixth chakra and the seventh chakra on this global scale. So if you're not entirely sure what I'm talking about, you can go back and watch the last video so that you're up to speed. So when we're looking at COVID-19 and where it is taking us into this awakening, this great initiation of global consciousness, I have been talking about the fact that I feel we have been in a sixth chakra experience now for a while. And what that looks like, what I mean when I say that, is we've really been in a dark night of the soul. Now that happens on the micro level or personal level, but it also happens on the macro level. And that's where I feel we have been for some years now. The dark night of the soul is a place that we go often when we notice that we're feeling maybe disconnected from something greater, even, and sometimes worse, disconnected from ourselves. This is often a place where the beliefs that we used to hold no longer hold the same amount of weight, or we don't line up with them in the same way. This is a place where certain perceptions that we had about ourselves, or really just the world or our worldview, start to get challenged. Or again, we just don't feel aligned with them in the way that we once did. So there is often this place of disconnect when we're going through a dark night of the soul. That piece that I was just saying is really on that personal level. The dark night can be very depressing, can be very dark, can be, and often is, very disillusioning. That's a big piece of the dark night, again, as it relates to the sixth chakra, where our illusions of varying degrees and all different kinds start to take a different shape, and we're not really sure what we're connected to anymore. I've seen a lot of that on the global scale. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the macrocosm of that. I know here in the United States, having elected Trump as president is very indicative of this dark night and sixth chakra. Now, bear with me here if you are a Trump supporter. I'm not getting political. I do want to say that one of the things that Trump has done is he has brought up a lot of this polarizing energy, a lot of the things that some people have feared the most. He has brought to light in some way, shape, or form. So there is a lot in that. There's a lot of information in that. And one of the pieces beyond the dark night of the soul, which I've already sort of pointed to, but it's part of the dark night and it's another aspect of the sixth chakra, where, the sixth chakra really is about our perceptions, and our perceptions come from the beliefs that we developed way earlier on in the stages of our development. But it's in the sixth chakra that we're often projecting our beliefs into the world, and we are, looking at right and wrong. And again, I feel that this is a place that we have been definitely since we elected Trump, maybe a little bit sooner. But there are these dueling forces, this very clear right and wrong, black and white. This is my belief and my perception. This is mine. And therefore, we are separating ourselves. So while I'm talking about sort of an imbalanced sixth chakra experience, it really is the spectrum of energies and experiences that we have within the range of the sixth chakra, often lending itself to something like a dark night of the soul. Not always, but I do feel we've been there globally. So we have been seeing a lot of this polarization. We have been very disillusioned, many of us. And on a global scale, there's been a lot of disillusionment. questioning, what do we believe? What are we going to stand for? What does matter the most? And it has challenged a lot of the things that we have believed about ourselves and our perceptions, and is changing relationships and all kinds of things. These are all things that come up in our sixth chakra. For some, it brings up another aspect of the sixth chakra, which is the ability to see, to visualize, to envision, to be a visionary. For some, it's brought up just really seeing the darkness, just going, oh my gosh, this is going absolutely nowhere. This is going downhill fast, to I see the possibility here. I see what could be coming from this. I see how this is being organized so that we can evolve and grow and better ourselves. So there's all different ways of having this view and different ways of really envisioning what all of this holds for us. The polarization, the dark night, the questioning our beliefs, all of those things, which is really where we've been for a while and has been setting us up to go into our seventh chakra. So with that, what I believe, as I said in the last video, is that this COVID-19 is really the way that we are moving into our seventh chakra and piercing the energy through it. We are in a collective seventh chakra experience right now. And while it's bringing up a lot for many people, as a huge awakening would, what it's also doing is it's reminding us of our oneness. It's reminding us of our significance and of our impact. I mean, just think about it. One person who's infected could go out into the world and essentially infect thousands of people. Now, even though that's not the kind of impact that most of us want to have, we can't ignore the fact that it is really showing us our impact, that we have value, that we matter, that what we do actually matters. For a long time, we were able to believe that our thoughts were our own. And the truth is, at a certain level, they're not. When we think negative thoughts about people, when we're sending anger towards someone, resentment towards someone, that is an energy. That is something that actually starts to almost contaminate that oneness, because we are all so connected. And we're learning this by way of this virus right now that is showing us that everything that we do has significance. Everything that we do has impact. And no matter what we believe, no matter what perceptions we have, no matter what we value, all the things that we were sorting out in the time of our sixth chakra, all of those things don't matter at the end of the day, because what really matters is our oneness, is our unity, is our ability to tend to one another by tending to ourselves first, which is another lesson that many of us have heard for a long time. Everybody often gives the airplane analogy of, putting the oxygen mask on yourself first before putting it on a baby or someone else. It's the same thing. We must learn to tend to ourselves, knowing that what we do matters and everything that we do impacts someone else. So we need to tend to ourselves first, and then we take care of other people. So that's another really interesting lesson that we're getting from this COVID-19. Now, something else that I mentioned in the last video was also talking about how, and I just want to talk a little bit more about this, is how paradoxical it is that, many of our borders have closed, if not all borders have closed, and really no or very little traveling is happening. And yet here we find ourselves on every other level more connected than we've ever been. What we have available to us from this learning is all about collaboration, cooperation, and learning how to support one another, because we must come together as a human race so that we can take care of each other at the highest level. So there's so much to be learned from this. Eckhart Tolle wrote the book, The New Earth, 2 decades ago now? And what I feel that we are finding here is the ground that is being fertilized for this new earth. One of the things that I would really suggest that each and every one of us do is we start to be intentional. Now that we are aware of our beliefs even more, what's important to us, what are our perceptions, what really matters? Is it principles before personalities with people? Can we understand that no matter what another person believes, that most of us at the end of the day value a lot of the same things? We just might have a different way of getting there. That's one way to ascend from the 6th chakra into the 7th and really be in that unity. So what we can do now is we can look at, what do I want my new earth to look like? Do I want to take the seeds that are being planted here, and the seeds of collaboration and cooperation and unity? What does that look like in your life? What does that look like in a larger scale? I mean, these are the kinds of questions that we can start asking ourselves now, because we are about to move into a whole new normal. The world's not going to be the same again. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. We are progressively moving forward. We are expanding. We have options here, and this is an incredible time of possibility for us as we move through the 7th chakra and ultimately recycle and move back into that next root chakra experience, where it's all about rebirth and recreation and reconstruction. And then we're going to continue this movement. So what do you want it to be like? One final thing is a question that I have received over and over again. I think it's a great question and really important to address. Are the people who have asked, what do I do about the people in my life who are living in fear? Whether you're feeling fear and anxiety or not, but maybe your loved ones are. There's a lot that you can do, in my opinion, with that. I do believe that everyone has an important role in this, whether they're feel fearful or not. And I think, one of the things that I've been seeing a lot of are people sort of saying, not even sometimes sort of, unfortunately, but those who are having a lot of fear and anxiety around all of this, maybe they're not being spiritual enough, or, maybe they're just not evolved enough, or, there's all kinds of interesting things that I've seen, that they're being dismissed for having the feelings that they're having. And I think one of the most validating and important things that we can do for our loved ones who are really feeling a lot of fear, which is understandable, is to acknowledge where they are, acknowledge their feelings, and say, yeah, gosh, this is scary. This is a wild ride. And then remind them that we are all in this together. And that even though we might not ever have the normal that we grew accustomed to, that together we get to create something new. Could there possibly be more destruction economically and otherwise before that? Absolutely, that's possible. So we're not trying to dismiss the gravity of the situation. But I do think sending a lifeboat to people who are really fearful right now and acknowledging them and saying, and this isn't the end. There is more to this story. So why don't we engage in that conversation when you're done sharing how you feel? And I'm done witnessing how you feel right now. Because I find that in the spirit of unity and in the spirit of oneness, what we're called to do is to be able to be on multiple levels with people, but not necessarily camp out with them where they are in the most pain. Is that we can visit them where they are in the most pain, and we can walk with them and show them that there is another way of being and that there is another path. Because even just having that possibility open up is really powerful. And while they might not have an immediate positive response, which is very possible, that's okay. Because if you keep being the voice of comfort, the voice of acknowledgement, the voice of validation, and the reminder that this is not the end, this is a new beginning that is being revealed to us, that we have some choices in how we can make that look, and we can all do it together. So really, I believe that the most important thing that we can do right now, ultimately, is to act in oneness, to act in solidarity with our human global family, and to not judge each other, because this is a significant trauma. Just like a baby being born feels like a significant trauma, and yet it is one of the most joyous occasions when there is a new life being born. But that doesn't mean that there doesn't have some traumatic effect, perhaps to the mother's body or even to the baby who's like, what just happened? So it's sort of like the yin and yang. You know, there's in the dark, there is a seed of light. In the light, there is a seed of dark. It's all in harmony. And so we can dance in that harmony together. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. That's being in the spirit of oneness. That's what's available to us in this 7th chakra experience. And it really closes the gaps of that imbalanced 6th chakra, where in the 6th, we really can sort out our perceived differences. We can have our perceptions. We can have whatever beliefs it is that we want, but it doesn't mean that it needs to alienate us. 7th chakra. So the call to action is to be in the oneness. Look at how that can be on all levels. How can that be on the physical plane right now? How can that be on the emotional plane? How can that be in the mental? And how can that be in the energetic realm? And I really feel through that, we can reach that tipping point that I've talked about before, and move the trajectory of global consciousness into this new earth, where we get to be in this initiation process and land in the new earth in the way that we want it to be. So your questions and comments are welcomed. If there's any more information that you would like to dive into, please feel free to reach out. I'm Katie Bray, and thank you for being here. You can find me at livewiththelightson.com. Or again, you can leave a comment or press like, share this video if you feel that it was helpful. Thank you.